Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. My name's Taylor.
I'm Talia.
And we're missing the third.
Yes.
But we are the three T's without Tara.
Yeah.
So the reason we're leaving Tara out of this video is because we were doing all things pregnancy, labor, postpartum. So if you guys want to find out about our experiences and some things that we've learned along the way, just keep on watching.
You don't know. We were actually pregnant at the same time. We thought that we were gonna have the same due date, but we'll get more into that. So, well, the babies are 12 days apart.
Because in pregnancy we were 2 weeks apart, right? Was it 2 weeks apart?
Yeah,
we were like exactly
2 weeks,
2 weeks apart.
But I got pregnant first before she did. But we thought it was the same time.
What we thought was I was pregnant first and then she was 2 weeks after me, right?
Yeah.
And then when we found out, it was like switched. She was actually 2 weeks ahead of me.
Yes. Let's talk about first, like when we found out, like, kind of like how we found out. But in the beginning, I had like slight nausea, but I was just like, man, whatever. Maybe I'm having like, a stomach ache or whatever. But it was kind of getting like later into the month, and I'm like, when am I supposed to get my period? Because I don't keep up with stuff like that. I had told Pablo, I was like, I think we need to buy a test. And he was like, you really think so? And I'm like, I don't know. I said, I feel weird. Like, I feel like something is not right. So we went and bought a test from like CVS or something. I was living with my grandma at the time. I took the test there, but nobody was there with me. I didn't even want Pablo there. I was like, you go home and I'll see if I'm gonna take it now or whatever. Which I did, and when I took it, it was probably like 2 seconds later and it already turned positive. But I was like, no, that can't be right. Like, this is not real. So I told him, I was like, it says that it's positive. And I'm like, but I think I'm gonna go to the clinic still. Literally waited like a few days, and I didn't have a car at the time. So I took my grandma's car, and I told her that it was me and Emily, and I told her that we were gonna go to the store or something, and
Basically, you lied.
yeah, I don't know, I told her something, but we actually went to the clinic. I had just told Emily because I was just like, I think I might be pregnant, but I don't know. So she actually went with me. So we're sitting there waiting, and when the test came back, she was like, well, your test is positive, congratulations. And I was just sitting there like, oh, okay. So mind you, I'm 20 years old and I'm still working. And so I just sat there and I was like, oh, okay. She was like, and do like the little calculations, and she was like, you're 6 weeks pregnant. And most people would be like, oh my gosh, it's so exciting, and oh wow. And I literally just sat there and I was like, she kept talking about, okay, well, we're gonna do this. I'm like, okay, yeah, okay. Anyway, we had to hurry up and leave because my grandma was already like, where are you at? I want some food. Can you get me some food? And I was like, yeah, we're on the way. So I texted Pablo and I was like, so yeah, I said, they told me I'm like 6 weeks, yada yada yada. No. Whenever like I actually went to the doctors, he measured her and he was like, yeah, that's not your like due date. So when he told me my actual due date, when I was told that I was 6 weeks, I was actually 8 weeks already. So I was just like, for 2 whole months I didn't know that this little baby was growing inside of me. And I was just like, wow.
Okay, so kind of like Talia's experience, mine was a little bit similar. And unlike her, I actually track my period days, so it was very normal for me to be off because every other month, like, my period would go out on certain days. Normal for me was being 9 days late, so it wasn't anything to me, but my period, I was pushing 15 days late, and I was like, okay, 9 days, that's normal. It's like 15 days is a long time to be kind of late, and I kind of like felt like she says like something wasn't right, and that's how I felt. I was like, something is not right. So I went out, and we actually lived in Texas. We had just moved. Yeah, Andrew was already living out there because he had got a promotion for the same company he works with, but in Texas. So we were like, yeah, let's take it, whatever. So he left before me, and he was already over there. And then I followed like later in January, and then I got pregnant in February. So we weren't there very long when I got pregnant. We were up there by ourselves. I mean, I had family, but they lived like an hour to 2 hours away. So I didn't really have anybody like them with me. So I was like there, like freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, my mind is racing. So we had like a grocery store up the street from where we lived. So I went up there and I bought 2 pregnancy tests. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell nobody that I even may be pregnant. I just bought the pregnancy test and went home. And so because Andrew worked like a night shift, it would take him like 2 hours to get home. So I wasn't worried about him like coming up on me and like seeing me, whatever. I wasn't worried about that. So I took the test. I took them both. And I just like laid them there, and I was like, oh my God. I was like freaking out. I was like texting my best friend. I'm like crying, freaking out. I'm like, this can't be real. This is not real life. This is not really. And see, the thing is, we were already married a little over a year. This was our 2nd year of marriage. So like, I know, like she said, like most people are so excited and so ready, and even being like married and stable, I was not prepared. I was not ready. This is not the life I wanted. I didn't want children. So all these like emotions were coming about, and I was freaking out. And then I made an appointment, and I told Andrew that I just needed to go get like an annual checkup. And so I went, and they were like, so why are you here? And I was like, because I think I'm pregnant. So I found out I was 6 weeks pregnant. And then when I finally told Andrew, I think I told Andrew like a few days later, because I was still like in disbelief. And then we decided that it was in our best interest to move back to Florida, which is why we're here now, because we weren't sure if we were going to be able to like manage, because he worked so far away from where we were living, and we didn't have any of like our close family. Like my grandma was over there, but like she's a little bit older, so it's not like she would have been able to help. And being a first-time mom, I wasn't sure how I was going to be able to like take care of an infant, or like how I was going to be. Decided to move back, and this is where we are now.
We're going to talk a little bit about how we told everybody else. Me and Tara, we took a flight out to Texas to go visit. And I was contemplating on even telling them, because I wasn't going to. And I mean, she'll tell her little story of how she did, but she actually had told us that she was pregnant. And I couldn't even like hold it anymore. I didn't even tell Pablo that I was gonna tell them, because I wasn't planning on it, but it just kind of like, I just kind of spewed it. You have watched our other videos that how whenever I told them, it's kind of in there. Just like a little snippet of. But then later, me and Pablo were discussing like how we were gonna tell everybody else, because my family is very religious, and with us not being married, felt like that was gonna be a problem. And we weren't living together at the time. We first went with my grandparents because we felt like it was, right to tell them, because I lived with them at the time. My grandpa was outside, so Pablo went ahead and talked to him by himself, and I waited for him to come inside, and we had told Memo while she was cooking in the kitchen. I was just like, so it's crazy, Taylor's pregnant and everything, you're gonna have a great grandbaby, and da-da. She's like, yeah, I know, I'm so excited. So then I was just like, so how would you feel, what if you had 2 great grandbabies? She was like, huh? What do you mean? It's like, oh, I said, because I was like, I'm pregnant. She was like, oh, I know you're not. And I was like, yeah, I am. Like, she really didn't believe me. She thought I was playing. So she turned around, she was like, what? Are you serious? And I thought like we were gonna get like this big lecture or something. And she just kind of started crying. And she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy. I'm so excited. To me, family's important, and I care about, what they feel and what they think. So with her being so happy and excited, like it kind of made me more excited. And my grandpa he was fine with it. He was just like, you're responsible and you're old enough to know, what you're getting yourself into. And he's like, but we're here for you, and so on and so forth. My grandma and I, we bought like these little plain onesies and just wrote on them. I can't remember exactly what we put. But we put them in little baggies, and because we usually get together on Sundays. So we were just like, let's wait until we get together and then we'll tell everybody, which again, I have a video, so we'll probably put it in.
Yeah, y'all can look at them. It's nothing big.
But can you hold it? Open it. What the heck?
Turn it around.
Who is expecting? Talia?
No.
And guess what the due date is?
Yeah, everybody was pretty excited once we told them. They couldn't believe it because at the time they already knew about Taylor being pregnant. So then they were like, oh my gosh, y'all are both pregnant, that's so crazy. And then we had thought that we had like the same due date. But yeah, it went a lot better because I thought, oh my gosh, they're gonna like probably be mad or they're gonna say something. But everybody was, pretty happy about the whole thing. You have like that one parent that you're just kind of like, oh my gosh, I feel like if I say something or do something wrong, like they're gonna be really mad. My mom was there on that Sunday, but my dad was not, and I didn't want him getting the news from somebody else, so I just went ahead and called him. I was just like, I just want you to know this from me, like firsthand, and I don't want you to be mad, but I was like, I love you very much, because I was just so
Trying to
scared.
like sweeten it.
He's always wanting us to have like a really good future, and he's one of those that wanted.
He pushes education really hard.
Like college is like very important to him. I just want you to know that I am pregnant, and I said, and I hope that you're not mad. I hope that get excited and want to be in their lives because I want you to be there in their lives. And he was pretty quiet, and he was just like, oh, okay, well, I love you and I gotta get back to work. But he's come around. He's come around, and he likes seeing the babies and everything.
So like Talia said, they flew up there at the beginning of March. I flew them out there because Tara was on spring break. I think she had vacation. That was when I decided to tell them. Because when I told Andrew, like I waited some time, told him, excited. And we weren't really sure if we were gonna tell them or not, but it just seemed like the perfect time just to let it out. I think I was already pushing like 13 weeks. So that was okay for me. So I finally told them, and that's when Talia told us. If you guys haven't watched that video, I think it's the sister tag. Mm-hmm. We threw that video in there, so if you want to see that video, go check it out. But I did this really cute sign. After we told them, we decided that we were going to tell the rest of the family when we drove them back down. So we drove down from Florida like after the week, and we got here and we presented these like canvas type things that we painted on, and it was a cute little poem, and we'll see you in October, and whatever. So we came down and told all of our family, including his side of the family, and everybody, like Talia said, we were at a different state, so state as in like our marriage and stuff. So everybody was really excited. Some were like, oh, it's about time, whatever. I was 23, so we're both still really young, and I was just like, in the midst of everybody being excited, I was still sitting there like, this is my life now. This is what's to come. Talia's experience that she had with our dad was not like my experience, because him and I have never really been on the best of terms, so we weren't really speaking last year. So when I told him, I didn't get a response. So he waited like a little over 3 months to say something. So we moved back in April, and I ended up working with a midwife. So we kind of took like different directions, and we'll get into that more in depth later. And now we're gonna share more of like our pregnancy together, kind of ish.
Yeah. Okay. First and foremost, I want to say every pregnancy is different. Every single one. Even if you have 5 different children, each one of those pregnancies are going to be different.
I feel like that's so hard for people to understand, that your experience is different. The way your body, is different. Your child is going to be different.
Yeah.
So take that into
And
consideration.
plus, we would always get, oh, was that planned? No, we did not plan to get pregnant at the same time.
Yeah.
I was not even planning to get pregnant at all.
Neither was I.
One thing that I clearly remember is morning sickness, but it is not just in the morning. It is any time of the day, or if I ate something and she did not like it. Like mainly grapes for some reason. She did not like when I ate grapes.
You guys, when we were driving them back from Florida, Talia was sitting up front with me because I was driving through Louisiana on a freaking byway. She was eating some grapes and she was like, pull over, and I was like, we're on the byway, I cannot pull over.
So I puked in a bag.
I was like, no more grapes for you.
But I dealt with dehydration because at the time when I didn't know I was pregnant, I was not a very big water drinker, so that also took effect on me. So if you're pregnant, drink lots and lots and lots of water. Once I kind of got that under control, and as time went on, I think I was probably like 16 weeks whenever it finally got calmed down. It's like this butter that my grandma would cook with, it like stunk up the whole house. I would just like lock myself in the room. Like it stings, like I feel so nauseous. I feel like I'm gonna be sick. She was just like, just go over there, it doesn't smell that bad. Later on, I had started getting like sharp pains in my rib cage, and at first I thought, you know, maybe it's just like trapped air or something, it'll go away. But it kept coming back more frequently. So when I got checked out at the doctor's, he diagnosed me with this long-term costochondritis, which mainly is inflammation in the like chest and rib area. So I would have like a lot of trapped air in there, and it would cause just sharp pain. Like if I tried moving a certain way, if I standing, it was worse. So I would like sit and I would like hold a pillow against me. I would have a pillow behind me. The pain would be so bad that I would actually throw up like every single time that it happened. And like one time it lasted for like 2, almost 3 hours, but later on it was 30-40 minutes most. But it would mainly happen at night as I grew bigger. So I would just be so mad because I'm sitting there in pain and Pablo's just like sleeping, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And as I got even bigger, which I would always get comments about how small I was.
People were always comparing us. I think that was the only like downfall of being pregnant at the same time, because people were constantly like looking at us and being like, well, why do you look like this and she looks like this? And that was the only bad part.
They always be like, where is she? Are you eating? And I'm like,
yeah, because Talia was she was small.
As she got lower, it caused me a lot of pelvic pain. Like it would hurt to walk, it would hurt to sit. Like if I try to raise my leg, it would hurt. I would have to like walk super slow. People were like, why are you wobbling? Like you're not even that big. And I'm like, that makes no sense. But
yeah, because it's like the baby is still there, regardless of how big or how small you look.
Yeah.
Like it's still in there.
And I was just like, it's the only comfortable way I can walk. Like I literally had to wobble, you know, like the pregnancy walk, because it was the only way I could walk without being in pain. I didn't get heartburn or nothing like that. I didn't really have any weird food cravings.
Oh, I didn't have morning sickness. I did get nauseous, but as soon as I ate, I was good to go. Like, I didn't get nauseous or have any of the feelings that Talia had, or the common that people talk about, and I'm like, I have no idea how that feels. I'm so sorry. I cannot relate to you. I have no idea how to help you. So I didn't have any like food cravings or anything like that. I wanted fruit a lot. Like I said, I didn't have any of the weird stuff that Talia had. The only thing I had was SPD, which is symphysis pubic dysfunction, and it's basically where your pelvic is out of whack, it's out of line. And mine was so severe when I went to go, because my midwife referred me to the chiropractor, and I was going 2 or 3 times out of the week. He measured me. He was like, okay, so your body's like this. Because I stood up, because you know you can't take like x-rays or anything.
Yeah.
So when they took pictures of me, he was like, this is how your body is supposed to be. This is how your body is. He's like, your pelvic is really out of shape. It's out of like hinge. So basically SPD is where your pelvic is not aligned where it's supposed to be, and it could be because of an accident I've had too, and it only came about because of the pregnancy, because of the way the baby was either positioning or the way the placenta was. It could have been a number of factors, but either way, I had this thing, and I remember walking through a grocery store with my husband, and I remember standing there, and I'm like, I can't walk. I physically could not walk. I couldn't move my legs. I don't know what it was. It was just like this excruciating pain to where I told him I can't move. I can't walk. And he was joking. He was like, do I need to go get one of those little motor chairs? And I'm like, no, that's not funny. But I could not move whatsoever. So when I called up my midwife, if you guys want a separate video about fully on midwives, because I could go on a whole ramble about my midwife in particular and midwifery in general, please let us know. Well, let me know, because I can talk about that. But so I called her up and I was like, I'm having this really excruciating pain. What do I do? She was like, that sounds like SPD, go see a chiropractor. So she referred me to a chiropractor, so I ended up, like I said, seeing him. I was actually supposed to go back once I had the baby, so he could adjust me again and adjust the baby, but I never went back, and I need to go back. So that was the only like severe issue I had. And once I was seeing him and doing exercises here at home and doing exercises there at the facility, the pain started to alleviate. It was still there. I couldn't do basic tasks. Like I couldn't take a shower sometimes. I couldn't put my pants on. If I sat for too long, it hurt. If I stood for too long, it hurt. And even though I was dancing, like I'll get into that later, but I was 37 and 38 weeks along and I was dancing. But it was like the minute I stopped dancing and sat down, the pain would flare up. So really, it was really hard to be mobile. It was really hard to get in and out of my car because I had an FJ Cruiser, which sits a little bit higher than the vehicle I have now. So it was a struggle to get inside of my car, get outside of my car. Basic tasks were not easy for me, and it was awful. It was really awful.
I just felt like I was very lucky with my pregnancy because like I said, I went to like a doctor and her heartbeat was always fine, and her measurements were always fine. Even like you have to take a glucose test. That was fine. She was always fine. So even like with all the pain that I was going through, I was just like, as long as she's fine, I don't care, what I have to go
I don't
through.
think neither one of us had like really bad issues. No. I started getting the edema, I think that's how you pronounce it, the water retention. I started getting that later on in my feet.
Yeah.
Which is the pregnancy swelling of the feet. So I didn't get that till later on in my pregnancy. I had high blood pressure later on once I got higher, but even then it wasn't severe enough to where my midwives were like freaking out, like you need to go see a doctor or something.
And that too, because like they're like your weight gain is fine, they're like your blood pressure is fine, and it was always fine. So it was just kind of like it was just those little things that I had to deal with. But I was just like, I'd rather deal with this than have something else, be wrong. But for some people, they're not that fortunate, they have all these things that they have to deal with.
So if you are one of those, our heart goes out to you because, like I said, we were really blessed to have a pretty, I guess you could say, normal pregnancy. Like she referred to her baby as a girl.
Oh yeah.
So unlike Talia, we decided not to find out
it was baby X.
It was baby X. We decided to go throughout our entire pregnancy without finding the gender, and
that's a very controversial thing.
We had
some odd reason.
Yeah, we had a lot of people that just weren't happy with the fact that we decided to wait. They didn't understand. They were confused. They're like, "Why would you do that?" I even had a stranger one time be like, well, what is your baby shower gonna be? What is the nursery theme gonna be? And I was like, I don't even know you. Can you just give me my food? Some people were, that's really cool. People don't do that very often nowadays. And then some people were just, why are you doing that? Nobody really understood, but it was the best. It was. I'm really glad we decided to do that. Now, baby number 2 comes, we probably won't do that. We'll probably find out. But it was really exciting. So if you guys are pregnant or planning to, think about deciding to wait, because it was really exciting being in the delivery room, finding out right then and there.
But because because we did a gender reveal party, and we didn't like. That's when I found out. But I just had a feeling that
We both did.
Yeah, I was just like, I feel like it's a girl.
There's like a strong enough connection. You feel it, you know, because I knew what I was gonna have, and I didn't know
Yeah,
at all.
I was still excited even at the reveal party. I was excited because I was just like, you know, confirmation that it was a girl, and I don't know, I just felt better because I was just like, I feel like I would do better with a baby girl than a boy for some reason. And even when I looked at her though, I was just like, she's having a boy. Like I told everybody, I was like, I don't care what anybody says, she's having a boy and that's it.
Yeah, we were both like that.
Yeah.
Everybody was like guessing wrong things, and for each other, I told her, I was like, you're having a girl. I knew when she was up there in Texas with us, I was like, you're having a girl. I already know it's a girl.
Yeah.
And like with me, I was like, it's a boy. I felt it in my soul, you guys. I felt it in my soul. I knew it was a boy.
Yeah, she was just like, every time I talk to him, it's he, him.
I did, and
everything.
Like we'd be laying here or whatever, and I talk to the baby, and I'm like, you're a boy. I know you're a boy.
Yeah, that's how I was like. And before we even talked about children, Pablo was like, if we ever have a girl, her name's gonna be Maya. Every time I would talk to my belly, I was like, hi Maya, how are you? Because I was just like, you're a girl, I don't care what anybody says. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment down below what you would like to see next.
And stay tuned for a continuum of our labor and delivery story. Well, since Tara's not here, if you like it, like it. If you don't like it, like it.
So make sure you subscribe and go ahead and watch our other videos. And we'll see you next time.